I feel a rage this afternoon, a deep, all-consuming rage, one that resists all temptation to show reason, to show mercy, to show compassion. I feel a rage this afternoon, a righteous one that feels like a fire, one that makes me want to ball up my fist and send it sailing towards a face, one that burns until I cry, one that melts my tears, a rage that makes me see red and then makes me blind. I feel a rage that makes me want to tear up all my little plans and eat all my little words. I feel a sadness this afternoon, one that makes me feel spineless, one that paralyzes my hand and my feet, one that confuses me, one that makes my words come out a mumble. I feel a sadness this afternoon, one that makes me feel ashamed, one that makes me feel weak, one that makes me want to run and hide and bury it inside, one that makes me want to scream, one that makes me want to cry, one that makes me want to cry that cry I didn't cry that other time, that cry I should have cried 5 other times, but I didn't, because I'm supposed to be smart and I'm supposed to be strong because I'm supposed to be a man, and I make plans. And I make plans so this shit don't happen again, but here it is again, and all I got is this rage and this sadness and these plans and these words and this call that's saving me right now from all the madness that I feel. This madness that I feel when I walk out the door knowing that death following me on Twitter, that murder is following me on Instagram, that the police is following me in my car, this madness that follows me every day of my life, this madness that want to strangle me, that want to Baker at me, that want to 25 to life me, that want to put 6 feet of distance between me and the land of the living. And all I got is this call. And I'm sitting and I'm listening and I'm smiling and I'm remembering. And I feel a love this afternoon, a strong one that makes me feel whole, one that gives me the shakes, one that makes me feel all good and new and ready again, a love that makes me forget, a love that lets me remember. I feel a love this afternoon, one that reminds me of magic of a people trafficked across the Atlantic, a love that dances with my rage and slides up real nice on my sadness. I'm not talking about no Disney love. I'm talking about a love that overflows, a love that reigns, a love that baptizes, a love that asks, how long did you expect us to stay inside? While you snuff out our family, while you gun us down in our bed, while you starve us, while you leave us to die in the slums and in the jails and on delivery rooms floors, while you dope us, while you poison us. I feel a love this afternoon. I feel a power this afternoon, a power that calls us, a power that pushes us, a power that asks, are you not the children born of uprising? Are you not the children of Birmingham in 1963, Harlem in 1964, Watts in 1965, Chicago in 1966? Do you not breathe the same air, feel the same rage, the same sadness, the same love as Black people in 1967? As our families rose in Tampa and Cincinnati and Atlanta and Newark and Brunswick and in Detroit, Michigan. Is it not true that our uprisings are always overdue? That our rebellions are a great cleansing? That they cast out the devil at the soul of this country? Is it not true that our movements are forged in the fire of these moments? Is it not true? Is it not true? If it is not true, then who are these Miskies? Who are these Tiffany's? Who are these Lumumbas? Who are these Tefts? Who are these Chanels? Who are these Jessicas? Who are these Carissas? Who are these Kaylas? Who are these Tamikas? If it's not true, then who are these dream defenders? Who are these Black youth projects? Who are these Malcolm X grassroots movements? Who are these Black visions and blackout collectives and Action St. Louis? Who are these Black men bills? I feel ready this afternoon. I feel ready to do what must be done, to do everything in my power, to give my all to future generations so that they may have life and that more abundantly. I feel the spirit of Marcus Garvey this afternoon. And he said, look for me in the whirlwind or the storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come and bring with me the countless millions of Black slaves who have died in America and in the West Indies, and the millions in Africa to aid you in your fight for liberty, freedom, and life. To everybody on the street, keep pushing. To everybody on the call, get there and keep pushing. Thank you.
Ooh.
Hi, friends. My name is Mary Hooks, and I'm one of the co-directors of Southerners on New Ground, and I'm also part of the Movement for Black Lives. Before we get into all the things that we have planned, let's just first take a moment to lift up Breonna Taylor, y'all. It's her 27th birthday, and she should be alive today to celebrate her day. And she is not. And so wherever you are, we must say her name. Let's say her name. Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor. We see you, love. receive. Thank you all for joining this virtual rally. Thank you all for choosing to be in struggle, for being with us in this moment, for showing up for our people, for believing in our people, believing in each other, and knowing that we're gonna win, y'all. You gotta know it. I know it. I see it. We're gonna win. And I'm just super, super proud of so much that folks are doing, and just feel pregnant with possibility and inspired by all that people are doing to make change and transformation possible in this time. So many people are resisting in the streets, y'all, and online. People threw down for the M for BL week of action, where we demanded a divestment from the police and an investment in Black communities, making sure the rights of protesters be respected. We also saw people demanding that local schools, colleges, universities, public institutions cut ties with the police. We're seeing demanding the immediate relief for Black communities from the impact of this COVID pandemic and the impact it's having on our people. We're also seeing people demand community control over local budgets, economies, and governments. And y'all, our people are demanding that we end the war on drugs and the war against our people. And I need y'all to know, because I feel very sure, and I'm sure many of you do too, that we gonna win, y'all. That we gonna win, and we winning right now as we speak. We are watching police departments get defunded across this country. We're seeing folks reinvest those dollars to keep our people safe, and demanding that those monies goes back to our people, to our communities, to make them whole again. We seeing wins all across cities, from cutting contracts. Public schools are like, yo, cops ain't allowed in our schools no more. And just seeing millions being snatched from city budgets to go back to our people. And it's not because, you know, somebody in the ivory tower made the righteous decision. It's because folks resisted. It's because folks organized, and folks did the slow, steady work, and folks did the hot and ready work that we need in this moment to turn up and put pressure on these folks. So keep pushing, y'all. Keep pushing. Keep winning. This is just the beginning, y'all. There's so much left on the table to be won. Yes, no? So let's make some more wins. So we know how important it is for Black arts to inform our movements, to inspire our people, to change our hearts and minds of our people. And so we want to make sure that we hold space and give space to our artists who inspire us. And so I want to, take my time and introduce Asa the artist, all the way from St. Louis. He uses his art to both heal himself and his community, and he works with Far-Fetched Studios in St. Louis, y'all. Let's get this medicine. Asa the artist, let's get it.
He called my name 3 times before I knocked it with nobody home. The love for mama, auntie, sister, brother, it was finally gone. Don't forget to mention, yeah, how he was different on his funeral stone. How the time moves on to call us home. Blood on the leaves, roll up your sleeve. The wolf becomes the sheep. Look, say blood on the leaves, roll up your sleeves. The wolf becomes the sheep. Look, know your brother and love yourself before the time is gone. Remember days we ain't know the way we had to find our own. Tears of the room, kissing bodies, yeah, I'm mellow. How the time moves on to call us home. Look, it's blood on you, on the hand in your shoes. It's blood on you. It's time to tell yourself the truth. Look, it's blood on you, on your hands and your hooves. I done died in a pool. This blood and lies of yours. Roll up your sleeves. The wolf becomes the sheep. Roll on the leaves. Roll up your sleeves. The wolf becomes the sheep. Sing this with me. Look right on you, that smile. It looks so right on you. The way you give a fuck about me, it looks so right on you. The love you give for mine, it looks so right on you. Mm, mm. Look right on you. Your love, your presence. It looks so right, it looks so right. Look right on you. The love you give for me is right on you.
Yes, 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 y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
That felt good. That felt good. Thank you for that medicine, love.
Love.
Thank you for that medicine.
Appreciate you.
Yo, and just so folks know who popping in, we have Spanish interpretation. There's links in the chat so you can get locked and loaded in. We also, and thank you to Sylvia for hooking it up. We also want to shout out to Billy doing the ASL interpretation. We see you. And we're going to keep this thing rolling, y'all. But we're super, super excited. Folks are joining from all over and building global solidarity and work together. That's love. Um, I want to take a moment, y'all, because oftentimes people think that we landed in these places and we got here in a vacuum and it just happened. They just started doing this. We know that history will remind us that ever since the first African got off of and made it through the Middle Passage, we've been resisting just as much as they've been repressing, controlling, containing our people. And even though we broke the back of chattel slavery, unfortunately, we left it in the hands of the oppressor to implement abolition, which unfortunately led to a failed Reconstruction project, which ultimately led to a Jim Crow South and a societal culture that created separate but equal in the terms of the way in which we lived and the way in which we were able to build wealth, the way in which we were able to have safety and dignity in our communities. And I'm gonna fast forward it a little bit because we want to honor the work of our elders and our ancestors and our folk who fought on the front lines for the civil rights movement, through workers' movements, through anti-violence movements, through the Black Power movement. And I want to locate myself in this conversation because I'm a child of the 80s, 82 baby. Any other 82s in the building? Whatever. And I remember when I grew up in the 80s, and I remember seeing many of my people impacted by the war on drugs. No, but I did not know at the time that that was a demand and that was called for by Nixon years before I even, was here. But I began to experience that and see how my community, my neighborhood, my family was being ravaged by it. And real talk, y'all, I thought it was our fault. I thought we were just making bad decisions, I didn't understand why our lights would get cut off, why we would have to, not have electricity or couldn't pay bills and, that sort of thing. And fast forward, when I remember one of the first times I took me and my buddies took not arrest, excuse me, but we resisted because our school refused to take the Black kids to our 8th grade little trip. And I remember thinking like they should have more to offer us. And they like kind of threw some stuff together. And I knew the schools weren't teaching us what they should have been. And I remember when I finally joined the church as a place that I saw as my home and a safe haven. But once I came out as a lesbian, that I knew that and was told blatantly that I had to choose a side. But it wasn't until I got into until I fell in love with a Black woman, straight up and down, and which began to open my eyes up, real talk, began to open my eyes up. And I began learning and understanding. And I got a chance to hear Elaine Brown from the Black Panther Party speak. And it blew my mind. And she talked about the ways in which systemic violence and the ways in which the war on drugs was criminalizing and demonizing young people. I remember being a shorty and hearing people talk about that we were out of control, that we was the language Hillary Clinton was using and shit on us, right? And so a few years ago, about 13 years ago, I moved to Atlanta. And what I didn't know at the time when I moved here was that Atlanta, when it hosted the Olympics, that it drove so many Black people, displaced so many Black people, literally was given one-way tickets to unsheltered people to get out of town. It tore down housing, affordable housing units and projects to make way for a world game. And eventually, I began to get politicized when I met a beautiful Black woman in a bar one night. Shout out Paris Hatcher, my comrade and friend. And she told me she was trying to stop the shackling of Black women while giving birth in prison. And I didn't know that that was happening. And it blew me up. But I was also deeply moved by the fact that she was doing something about it. And so I want to say that once we find out and look at ourselves and we begin to see something ain't right with the world, and you begin having moments that say something ain't right, and we see our people struggling, and oftentimes what they don't teach us in schools, what they don't teach us in our churches, what they don't teach us, you know what I mean, on the block, is a history of struggle and resistance. And oftentimes we don't know that they just passed laws and rules that literally cut billions of dollars from public education and put that money into prisons and to cages and into courts and into cops, right? And so this is how we got here. This has been a well-crafted plan and machine. The right wing has done an amazing job of organizing real talk and combining their forces and combining their interests and their money and rolled out a 50-60-year plan. The Southern Strategy, if you haven't read that, check that out. They rolled out a plan. So how they were going to keep power and maintain control. And so this is why we see the resistance we see now. This is why people are upset. This is why for every Black body that has been dropped by the hands of police, from Emmett Till, from the folk who've been lynched, all of them, Breonna Taylor, all of them, Tony McDade, all of them. That is why this moment is happening right now. And this is why it is moments like this that advance our struggle for liberation. Locate yourself, remind yourself, ask the elders, do some study so we understand how we got here and what have been the historical wins that we've made, the losses we've suffered, the gains we've had, so we can have a clear vision about where we're headed. And we're headed to defund the police, y'all. We're headed to invest in our communities and build Black futures, period. Okay, I went off. I'm done. Me, keep it moving. All right, y'all. So I want to take a moment, y'all, and introduce Talisha Wilson, who represents Louisville, y'all. Let's hear and get some report backs from what the comrades in Louisville, Kentucky, hold it down for Breonna Taylor and so many Black people. Talisha?
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. Talisha, she, her, and hers, also lesbian, Black woman. But here in Louisville, we are definitely taking initiatives on making sure that Breonna's voice is heard, despite everything that has happened. Some of our demands include changing the narrative around police terrorism so that they can include the gun violence that is projected onto Black bodies. We are trying to get Breonna's law into effect. Right now, it is suspended locally, but we are wanting to eventually have that happen for state and also on a federal level. We are also demanding that the police officers who were involved with the murder of Breonna Taylor are fired, their pensions are taken away from them, and convicted. Right now, our Mayor Greg Fisher, is excusing his reason for not firing them with being that he would have to pay, if they're not convicted, he would have to pay them back pay and hazard pay and all of that whatnot. And there's nothing in our FOP that states that he is unable to fire them, even though that is the narrative. We are trying to keep the younger people, the younger folks on the front lines. I myself at 27 am young, but we're wanting to continue to keep the young folk trained, their momentum going, and keep them safe. So we're trying to stand behind the young folk and ask them what it is that they need from us. We're working on ways that we can defund the police, so that basically they're getting money and they're using that money to harm us, to police our neighborhoods. And that's what can't happen. That is what the cause of all of this is, the over policing of Black people and Black bodies. We're also trying to keep this movement intersectional. We cannot talk about this movement without talking about our Black trans brothers and sisters and gender non-conforming and gender non-binary brothers and sisters and people who are also dying at the hands of police. Making sure to keep this fight intersectional. We're also, like someone mentioned earlier, trying to coordinate and make sure that art and activism is playing a large role. We cannot do this work without art. We cannot do this work without combining art and activism. We are basically trying to keep people motivated, keep people on the front line, continue to put fire under the government. The state legislation. We did have a state legislation that went through yesterday, but of course the process with that is going to be long and heavy. But we are not stopping. We are going to continue to put fire under their butts because that's what has to happen. Right now, we're trying to take care of ourselves during this moment. It's a lot of things that are happening in the city. In addition to Breonna, the police, also LMPD, also murdered a Black man in West Louisville, past 9th Street, kept his body on the ground for 14 hours. This was just 2 days ago. In addition to that, our neighborhoods in the West End, one of our main sources of food, which is a Kroger, was closed for a day, which caused a lot of havoc. Our drugstore in West Louisville is closed. A lot of people are unable to get their medicine. So we are collecting money, fundraising for money in order to get those older folks and also the people in the neighborhood food and money. Change Today, Change Tomorrow is helping with feeding our neighborhoods, making sure that we are going to people's homes, knocking on doors, canvassing, asking them if they need food, asking them if they need rides, if they need gas, if they need prescriptions, if they need those things paid for. We're really trying to make sure that the people who are on the front lines and off the front lines are okay so that we can continue doing this policy work. That is where we're at. Right now, the city is mourning. We're very emotional. And I'm so thankful to be on this call with you all. Yes, yes. David McAtee is his name. Yes. And we want to continue to speak that. There's so much happening. I'm so emotional right now, and I'm so thankful for this space that is being held right now. What we're asking for the rest of the world is continue to lift us up in whatever way you do that. And we're going to continue fighting this fight. We're going to continue training. We're going to continue to provide safety for people in the neighborhoods, on the front lines. People, and we're getting large numbers. There are people who have never been on the front lines. There are people who have never wanted to create change who are doing so now, which is so important for us here in Louisville, Kentucky, and then all around the world. We're trying to make sure that we don't sway from the narrative, that we don't give too much attention to the negative things that are going on, and that we definitely keep our focus on the government and the things and the changes that they need to make.
Bless. Thank you. Thank you, comrades. Stay strong. Stay steady. Stay strong. Stay steady. Yes, indeed. Y'all, so I want to introduce our next speaker, y'all. And this is amazing actress and activist, Yara Shahidi.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here and share in this space with you all. And I just wanted to share because I know we are amidst such real communal trauma, but today is still a day of celebration, and we continue to treat it as such because today is Breonna Taylor's birthday. And I want to speak to her because we carry her with us. We say her name loudly and proudly, not only today, but every single day to come. We carry her with us through our words, our Stevie Wonder happy birthday songs, our actions, our chants, our abolition, our passion and our protests, our love and our warmth and our dedication. We carry her with us through our dedication and our commitment to justice. She should be here with her family celebrating her 27th birthday. Maya Angelou said there's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. And she wasn't allowed to tell her story, but that's where I am inspired because we have decided that her story will never go untold and we will continue to carry it with us. We will ensure that when your life is cut short, that you are given eternal life through our action and through our movements. We say her name. She is never forgotten. Breonna Taylor, we love you. Much love.
Thank you so much, Yara. That was a really beautiful offering in honor of Breonna Taylor. My name is Carissa. I'm the National Director of the Movement for Black Lives, the National Field Director for the Movement for Black Lives. It's an honor to be in this work with y'all, and I do believe that we will win. I want to pass it to Nick, who has been holding down and supporting the organizing work happening around Tony. So Nick, I'll pass it to you.
Thank y'all so much. I also want to begin by saying happy birthday to Breonna, who's not here, and really just thank you all and everybody that has just brought a Tony's case. I also would be remiss if I did not include my trans siblings and also lift up Nina Pop, if I also didn't bring some attention to Ayanna Dior. So I just want us to not forget folks in some of our conversations that I have. And so my name is Nick Harris, and I come to you on behalf of Commissioner Nikki Fried. I'm the only LGBTQ appointed official to a member of cabinet in the state of Florida. I shouldn't be the only one. I'm here also on behalf of my very good friend, Miss Shawnee Angela, who started the GoFundMe. That 100% of those proceeds go to Miss Wanda, Tony's mother. I have to say this, Shawnee refers to herself as a Black queer troublemaker. And boy, do I thank God that she is a Black queer troublemaker, in that she chose to start to cause some trouble about this because I was concerned that somehow Tony might get forgotten. And we can't allow that. And so I just want to say, first of all, Shawnee wishes she could be present with you all. She's, again, assisting the family. I do want to share this with you. There are many GoFundMes out there, but I want to be clear that the one that is for the 100% support of Ms. Wanda is the one that is in memory of Tony McDade, and it is by Ms. Shawnee Angela. I'm reminded when Mary shared earlier that we all have a part to play in how do we get to our wins. I think it's necessary to also give credit to Ms. Stacey LaCroix, who was just sitting home in DC and heard the story and decided I had to take action. And so Stacey did what she could do, which was start writing a letter. And oh, what a powerful letter it became. And it's part of the reason I sit here with you. And so I just want to send out support for her as well. I do want to share with you some specific details. If y'all don't mind, I got to read this. Tonight, if you are in Tallahassee, there will be visitation and a viewing for Tony at Old West Florida Enrichment Center. It will be from 4 to 6 p.m. The address is 2344 Lake Bradford Road. Again, that's Tallahassee, Florida. That's from 4 to 6 at the Old West Enrichment Center. There will also be the service tomorrow, graveside at Southside Cemetery. That's at 11 a.m. That address, if you are in Tallahassee, is 3484 Capitol Circle Southwest, Tallahassee, Florida. Again, that's 11 a.m. tomorrow. I recognize that there's been so much love and support around Tony's case and from Ms. Wanda and the family. We recognize that everybody could not be here. There will be a live stream. If you visit Tillman Funeral Home, look for it, Tillman Funeral Home in Tallahassee, Florida. You will be able to watch a live stream of those services. Last but not least, I want to share this with you. Shawnee and I had the opportunity to sit down with Ms. Wanda for a good long while. And I don't want to share all the details of that conversation, but what I could tell you was she was overcome by the generosity, the love, and support for her and for Tony. And she just wanted to make sure that she let everybody know that she loves you and she appreciates you. And if you get the extraordinary opportunity, which I got to meet with Ms. Wanda, she talked about having angels all around her. And so no parent should have to bury their child. Want that to sit for a moment. But what I could not believe was how strong this woman was, because she took joy and had some peace in knowing that Tony is at peace, and she was comforted by the love and support of community. So I say, please let your voice continue to be heard. Please demand justice. And we're going to be here even after cameras and folks go away, because we will keep fighting for this. And I will stand with you. Shawnee stands with you. And I know Commissioner Freed stands with you. So thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much, Nick, for giving us an update about what's happening and allowing folks to plug in. We are so grateful that you're in this work with us and are doing everything you can to lift up what happened to Tony.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So I want to both reiterate demands were that helped to ground this week of action and that will continue to carry us as we move forward, in addition to being able to name what's next for us as the Movement for Black Lives. So I'll start with the demands. We demand an end to the war against Black people. We demand an end to the criminalization, incarceration, and killing of our people. We call for not just individual accountability of officers after a murder, but entire police departments. We demand a divestment from the police and investment in Black communities. We call on localities and elected officials across the country to divest resources away from policing in local budgets and reallocate those resources to healthcare, housing, education that our people deserve. More officers, guns, jails, prisons are not a solution to the long-standing problems of racial disparities, injustices, and police violence. We demand local schools, colleges, universities, and all public institutions cut ties with the police. We demand police-free schools across the country and an end to the use of police force in public universities. All public institutions designed to serve the people must cut ties with the police in the interest of public safety. We demand immediate relief for our communities. We demand the federal government provide direct cash payments, rent cancellation, mortgage cancellation, a moratorium on utility and water shutoffs, and a cancellation of student, medical, and other forms of debt. We demand long-term economic solutions like a universal basic income in order to address the immediate crises and pave the way for a just recovery that does not prioritize corporations and leaves our communities behind. We demand economic justice for our people. From Minneapolis to Louisville, our people continue to be exploited by this economy from generation to generation. At this moment of economic crisis, we need to seize the opportunity to rethink the economy and move it towards one that serves the needs of the people and the planet, not corporations and the wealthy. We demand the rights of protesters be respected. We demand that no harm come to protesters. Violations of property should never be equated with the violation of human life. We demand that the local and state officials ensure that there are no abusive powers and no use of lethal force on protesters. We demand repair for past and continuing harm. State actors like the police, immigration agents, and corporations who have caused harm to Black communities must repair the harm they have done. Police departments must acknowledge the harm their institutions have caused Black families, and they must make an apology and commit resources to families and communities who have been forced to suffer. We demand community control. The most impacted in our communities need to control the laws, institutions, and policies that are meant to serve us, from our schools to our local budgets, economies, and police departments. So these demands have been collectively drafted from folks who are organizing all over the country. And we know that folks are in the streets to protest racist police, but also against the ravages of racial capitalism in the 21st century. And beloveds, we are winning. Across the country, we have seen these demands being actualized, from park departments to schools cutting ties with police departments. This is not the time to move false solutions that don't get to the root problem, but transformative demands that ensure that Black people will thrive. We know that at all levels of the government, elected officials need to be doing more to actualize the demands that have been laid out, from school board members to city council members, governors, and Congress. And y'all, we have to demand that the rhetoric and policies being promoted by the inhabitant of the White House that criminalize our right to protest and organize stop. It is time for Trump to go. He must resign. Yes. So I want to name what we'll be up to over the coming weeks to continue to put pressure to shift conditions for Black people. We will be launching, in partnership with local Black organizations across the country, a national campaign to defund the police and invest in our communities. We know that organizations across the country have already been in a fight to demand police out of our schools and communities, organizations that I love, like the Black Organizing Project in Oakland. To y'all, we see your work. We want to be aligned in those fights, and we're inspired by those organizations. Part of how that will be actualized is launching Freedom Summer, y'all. Get ready for Freedom Summer. It's coming to some cities near you. So Freedom Summer will be launching in a couple of cities across the country to train up our folks and move them into action around our core demands. We want to collectively vision what a world without policing will be. Oftentimes, folks say that we cannot actualize something that we can't dream. And so today, we will be dropping an invitation to creatives to submit works to help us illustrate exactly what a world without policing can look like. So if you're a writer, if you're a poet, if you're a singer, if you're a painter, whatever medium you use, check out our platforms where you can get plugged into that artwork, to that work to help demonstrate that. And lastly, the Movement for Black Lives has spent the last year planning to launch a Black National Convention to commemorate the 1972 Black National Convention in Gary, Indiana. As COVID ravaged our communities, our Detroit venue was turned into a hospital. We feel a mandate to engage Black people politically and connect our demands to the tactic of elections responsibly. We are still planning a Black National Convention in partnerships with BET on Friday, August 28th, and with increased urgency. So look for that information to engage and learn more in the coming days. You can find all of that information as it rolls out on our social media platforms. So I am a firm believer that artists help us make sense of the world. They are who we turn to in moments of crisis to help narrate both our grief and our love. I am especially committed to this artist who I helped support his development. My son, not really my son, but my son. So I'd like to kick it back to Asa, the artist, who will give us one more offering.
How y'all feeling? Sun don't shine in the ghetto. It only rain in the hood. I just sent my last 4-5 on the 7. So let go cop us some wood. I told you like the sun don't shine in the ghetto. It only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5 on the 7. So let's go cop us some wood. Cause if I'm not at home, just leave a message for me. I'm trying to link with you so we can hook up tonight. Pull up to the party acting gnarly. Chickens on my line for the low, and I don't know these girls hardly, but we gon' keep it cool, keep it solid. A 90s baby still got OGs with that money, so keep it from me. I was down bad, hungry, bumming, ain't had no money. Niggas ain't get none from me, so keep it honey. If I blow up tomorrow or the day, better say hi, hey, cause a nigga on his way. Sun don't shine in the ghetto, it only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5 on the 7. So let's go cop us some woods. I told you like the sun don't shine in the ghetto, it only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5 on the 7. So let's go cop us some wood. And as I add it up, I got the documents to back it up. See, I was certified and I was born to fly. I told my mama now, put all that bullshit aside. See, we gon' make it out. Yes, we gon' make it out. And from the very beginning, I was on that corner stand, dicky pants and dirty vans, getting cash for substances. Women knew just what it was. Police, they love just what it is. It's never gon' never change. $250 for powder bricks. My homies, they can barely see. In other words, came with the sticks. And yeah, we can get you right and fix the shit. So what's the glitch? See, dad stay up on the swift. Can possibly like what's the swift? My younger niggas shoot a heel. Uber say like fuck a lift. Just throw the pitch. Sun don't shine in the ghetto, it only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5 on the 7. So let's go buy some wood. I told you like the sun don't shine in the ghetto, it only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5. Sun don't shine in the ghetto, it only rain in the hood. I just spent my last 4-5 on the 7. We are winning, y'all. We winning this fight. We winning this battle. We are far-fetched. I want to thank y'all. Stay black. Love.
Beautiful, beautiful. It is literally raining in my hood right now, yo. I'm like, oh shit. Thank you again for that medicine and that offering, Asa. My God. So we want to make sure that y'all stay connected and plugged in to all the amazing things that's coming down the pipe with InfoBL. So make sure you follow us on our social medias. Tomorrow there's going to be a teach-in happening with our comrades and with Rising Majority, the Movement for Black Lives. So make sure you go on our social medias, check it out. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Is Tumblr still a thing? I don't fucking know. But you can find us. We out here. If you found us now, you'll find us again, and tell somebody else, yo. And before we end this thing, I want to leave you with this prayer. Is that all right, comrades? And my kid actually recites this at her school, at her little Quilombo school. And this is for our people and Black people in struggle today. And it reads, "O ancestors, blacker than the skies at midnight, brighter than the noonday sun, and all the beautiful shades of Africa in between, field hands, house servants, factory workers, sex workers, preachers, teachers, freedom fighters, those who resisted in silence, those who resisted out loud, those whose bodies are buried at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, those who chose to survive, great ancient priests, warriors and mystic scientists, give us the inspiration to fight 1,000 lions. Give us the enlightenment to unravel the mysteries of the universe. Give us the sustenance to travel through the trunkless, trampless swamps of disharmony. Praise be your Black African names. Help us in our time of need. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-yo. And just a reminder, y'all, in the great words of our beloved ancestor Gwendolyn Brooks, do not forget it on these front lines, that we are each other's harvest and we are each other's magnitude and bond. Let's get free, comrades. Let's get free. Get this video going. And it's this up as an offering and a love letter to our people. So enjoy a taste of this if you haven't already.
A song of will to be, will to know, will to do, will to see.
Hey, it's real. I'm gone. Black Lives Matter. I stole it for the police.
A song for you. A song of will to be strong, will to live long, will to be right or wrong. A song for those who try.